Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, as many of you know, there's an important decision that the voters are going to make regarding the current form of government in Saratoga. The City Charter Review Committee is out there trying to come up with a recommendation. It has to pass City Council, and then they're proposing a special election. Well, there's a lot of pros and cons on this issue, and in our effort to try to present all sides, I noticed in the last City Council meeting that Commissioner John Franck was opposed to having the special election. So we invited John in, and he accepted. So welcome, John. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
You are the Commissioner of Accounts.
That's correct.
Outside of the fact that that sounds dangerous, what does a Commissioner of Accountants do?
Well, we're more of an administrative type position, but the main thing is I'm the city assessor and the city clerk, and then some other administrative functions. But those are my two main duties as the Commissioner of Accounts.
And when it comes to authorizing funds for things like special elections and whatever, that would fall under your purview, right?
Well, that would fall under finance and the city council.
Okay.
Accounts tends to sound like the accountant, but actually Commissioner of Finance, Michelle Madigan, is the one who ends up making that final decision.
I've got it. So what role do you play in this?
At this point, my main role is as the city clerk of the city, because if we have a special election, I'm in charge of the election.
You'd be in charge of the election?
That's correct, because it would be out of the county's hands.
That's what I thought. Now, you've been involved in city government, I think, since mid-2000s, right?
Yeah, about 2006, back when TV was black and white. It's been so long, so it's been a while. It's my 12th year. That's
great. It's hard for me to believe that 2006 is 12 years ago. That's how bad it is for me, John.
It goes by real fast.
It does. The city mandates that every 10 years that there be a current review of the current form of government.
That's correct.
And that's what we're in the process of right now. Just to tell our viewers, give them a little more background, John, what are the three forms of government that are being discussed?
Well, the three forms, the main form of government is a mayor council, which most people are familiar. Another form that's really grown over the years is a city manager council form of government. And then you have what we have, the commission form of government, which is, it's not around too much. I think there's 142 of them in the United States and 2 of them in New York State, us in Mechanicville.
Now, last June when the mayor actually established a committee, they've been pretty hard at work. They're doing a lot of surveys in-house. Some talk about how they're going to talk to the public about this. And one of the sort of areas of contention here is the idea of holding a special election for this.
Correct.
So I want to get to that in just a second. What do you think of the process so far?
I think the process so far has been pretty good. They have really done their homework. They have looked at all forms of government. They've brought in former elected officials. They've brought in a lot of people within City Hall. So I think, from that standpoint, it's been done very well. I believe they should have had more outreach to the public, because it's the public's charter that's going to go through, their constitution. They haven't really done that too much. But other than that, I think they've done a very good job.
Do you think, and we're hearing that too, that under Bob Turner, they really are doing quite a thorough job in this. They're trying to do a thorough job on it. The idea that we would hold a special election, where did that come from?
They're allowed to, under the law, to ask for either a regular or special election. What Bob and other members have said is a special election would just make that the only item, and therefore there could be focus on it, and that's the reasoning for the special election.
Now, I interviewed Joe Dalton recently, and he was talking about having a special election the Tuesday right after Memorial Day. It's a cost involved with holding a special election, obviously, but How many people do you think would actually pay attention the Tuesday after Memorial Day?
I think it's a voter suppression type of thing where you're going to get a very low turnout, maybe a couple thousand people if you're lucky. Typical city election, every 2 years you get between 75 and 8,500 people, citizens to vote. It's not as high as the presidential election where you get 75% of the people to vote, but you get 45 to 50% of the people on a city election. So I just think you'll get a third or a half of what you would regularly get.
You know, one of something, I think that's even optimistic.
I think that may be optimistic, but it's definitely not going to be a bigger vote, that's for sure.
Now that's, it seems like it's May there, end of May. That's coming up pretty quickly. Has enough documentation been presented to the council so that between now and the time that they're calling for a special election, that you would feel comfortable?
Not for me. I haven't even seen the document yet. They haven't put it together. They're working on it. We've heard there's going to be wards. There's not going to be wards. The mayor is going to be a supervisor. The mayor's not going to be a supervisor. They're kind of all over the place. I would really like the document to be put together first and then do the education throughout the city. And 90 days from now is just not enough time. 60 days before the election, I have to actually, as the city clerk, put the language together. And we also have to do our on the ballot itself. Yeah, sure. And also, it's not just the document of the charter itself. You have to show a red line version of the old charter and show all the differences. So that could be 60, 70 pages worth of work. So there's a lot of work still to be done. And it has to be done in the next 30 days. And I just think it's really pushing it too tight.
You know, I tend to agree with you there. It just seems to me that there's a, you know, it's one thing to advocate, as you were saying. It's another thing to educate.
Right.
And if this something as important as the form of government for our city, and the public really needs to pay attention to this. It seems to me that a general election would give you enough time to actually go through the review process the way you want.
Right.
And then also, realize that we'll get a much larger turnout.
Right. You walk down the street, forget City Hall, you walk and you ask 10 people you don't know when they vote, they're going to tell you in November, and it's a Tuesday. They might not know which Tuesday, but they know it's in November. I just think to do this on May 30th just doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's going to have a low turnout. Plus, we're going to spend a lot of money to do it, and I just don't think it's right.
Yeah, got you, John. Thank you very much for taking the time to come in. We're going to be continuing to cover this story. I think it's a very important story. A lot of people involved and a lot of opinions. It's an interesting one for sure.
Yes.
Well, John, thanks very much for coming in. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.
Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.